very good afternoon to you. Welcome. It's Gene from maverickstar Observatory. Guys, as you may be aware, it's been over a week since we've last been able to do an update, and that is because YouTube give us a strike for talking about, things that they don't want us talking about. Let's just say that. This is the sort of world we're living in now. Our freedoms are being pummeled left, right and centre. A little bit later on in the video, we're going to do the latest magnetic pole position for you. Just really wanted to let you know what had happened in the last week. At a time where we suffer, because of obviously the expenditure for a lot of people at Christmas, we suffer very low funds, and then adding to that, we have to wait a further 8 days before we can make any progress with any updates on YouTube. Do you ever have one of those weeks where everything goes completely wrong for you? I mean, if you remember, just before the last video I did that was taken down, I was telling you about the car breaking down and having to get that fixed. And if it wasn't for the ability of being able to fix the car myself, it would have been, a complete and utter wipeout for Christmas here at the observatory, funding wise. The car is back on the road, the puncture is fixed also, and just a little bit later on I'll be taking it to go and get a clean and try and get back on track with Christmas and everything else. I wanted to do this update as I usually do on the 17th, but was unable to because of obvious reasons with YouTube. So I thought I'd wait until at the very first moment I was able to, and then just extend really what we normally do from the 17th to the 17th every month. And as a result of that, what we're going to see when we look at the map is an increase slightly on the miles by an extra mile or so, and that is only because we've ran the tri-mag for another 5 days longer than what we normally do. The website has been updated with the tri-mag data and the magnetosphere data. I've got some data to get through from Canada, from Kendall, one of our superstars, which I'll be pressing on with that either later today or tomorrow, and I'll get an update done as soon as I can on that as well for you. There was a video that I did which I'll also run towards the weekend for you. That was just whilst I was twiddling my thumbs over the last week, thinking how lousy it is in this day and age that just words offend these major platforms, and as a result we get strikes and bullied, nothing short. One of the strangest things is that we got a strike last year in 2021, and that was in December, and just as this last strike expired, the new one was given out to us. Just completely unbelievable. It's like they want to keep you on the precipice of losing all the work that you've done over the years on these platforms. I mean, they won't let us run any advertisement on the videos. I suppose that's a good thing for you guys, so you'd have to sit there watching the adverts, but even if we wanted to, we couldn't switch them on. Just again another crippling blow for the observatory. An observatory that is trying to inform people of one of the rarest anomalies that's taking place in our day and age. It seems absolutely bizarre to me that anyone would want to block information of this sort, but it's obvious that that is the case. So guys, I do hope that we can try and recover some of the losses that we've made over the last week through the lack of doing videos and not being able to raise a bit of funding for it. It is, like I say, one of the worst times of the year, Christmas, for the observatory, and there's a link down there if you want to help support us, and I really hope that some of you think about what's gone on over the last week and chip in a few bucks for us here, and we can hopefully in the new year try and make a recovery from now being in the red again. It's unbelievable It's like, I can never go 2 steps forward without having to go 2.5 backwards. It's crazy. So there's a link down there if you want to help subscribe to us. We'll chuck a few bucks in. It's there. Okay, let's get on with the update and the latest magnetic pole position, so you can see just where we are. 3 months out now, towards the end of March, we will pass that 40-degree mark. Let's go and have a look at it on Google Earth. So, as you can see, we've travelled 6.24 miles since the last time we've done a reading. It's slightly more than normal. That's because the Trimag has run another 5 days, so it just keeps tracking the magnetic North Pole over time. And if you're following it on your Google Earth, the latitude for the magnetic North Pole and the longitude is 82 degrees 0 hours 51 minutes 42 seconds north, and the longitude 116 degrees 7 hours 24 minutes 80 seconds east. Now, some people get confused, with the 40-degree mark, and then we're looking at 82 degrees, and they're saying, how can it be? Well, 40 degrees is just a measurement from Canada at the beginning of the 19th century, and that just is an indication of how much the magnetic North Pole has migrated since that time. So the 40 degrees is just a region of where we anticipate, when the magnetic North gets closer to it or just goes past it a little bit, we'll start to see an uptick in the actual migration speed over time. The reason for this is because, due to some of the experiments that we conducted, we found that there was a specific region on any magnetic compass that, when it starts to get close to 40 degrees, what happens is it leaves the strong field lines, which enable it to migrate slower, and goes into the weak field lines, which enables that rapid movement of the compass in the vicinity of a magnetic material. So we're anticipating that could be what happens in the real world with the magnetic North Pole, and that's based on what we suspect the behaviour of our interior core in the planet, way deep beneath our feet, is actually behaving like. And if it is anything like the experiment, we should begin to see some sporadic movement as we get close to that 40-degree mark. As you can see, if I zoom out, that we are going past now the the North Atlantic ridge. We're almost over it. Just before we started to enter the path of crossing the ridge, nearly a year ago now, we noticed a slight increase in speed. So it would be interesting to see what happens when we go past it. Will it slow down again, or will it accelerate even more as we get closer to that 40-degree mark? Another thing I want to just point out is I've actually put in recently, over the last few months, this pin here, and it's just called NASA, ESA and NOAA. And the reason why I did that is because I wanted them organisations to know something about this region that I'm aware of. And I said to you guys, it was a promise, and I'll keep that promise, that as we get closer to this, I will reveal all about it and what I know. But it's an important region, and it is of course in the corridor of the path of the migrating North Pole currently. So I'll just back up a little bit. I know that the audio will be slightly out of sync with the video, and I'll just stop it so I can show you what I wanted to show you. Is just the distance of what the magnetic North Pole has done over the last 100 years over the Northern Hemisphere. You can see where it's tracking. We know why it's tracking towards this region here, central Russia. It's because the intensity over Russia has been increasing, whilst at the same time the magnetic intensity over Canada, which held it there for many, many years, 780,000 years, and that is aside from a few excursions which were failed attempts of magnetic reversals. We know the reason why it's tracking towards Russia is because something in the core is relocating, and therefore the highest intensity is where the dipoles will reside on our Earth. We also know that when we compare temperature charts, that where the main intensities are on our planet right now, you've got one which is weakening over Canada, one which is increasing in intensity over Russia, and then we've got one which is just coming up on the peninsula of Australia down there in the south. Where these intensities are actual regions, and I don't think by any coincidence, which are the coldest on our planet. And where the magnetic North Pole, the dipole is right now, what we're looking at is it's only there because of the intensities of Canada and Russia put it there, because naturally the dipole would be in the strongest intensity, and that is what we know is slowly happening. It is moving at the moment to the increase in intensity in central Russia. That means it may well take the Arctic climate with it, which will lower the climate belts, bringing it further close to Europe and those countries. So we're going to be in trouble at some point with the ability to grow food in countries that we've been accustomed to growing for a long time. And that is simply because it will render it offline, that land, that arable land that we use right now in Europe, because of the sub-zero temperatures, will continue to move further towards the equatorial region as the intensity intensifies over Russia. So we've got some interesting times ahead, and at a time where we're at right now, we don't really need it, do we? The world is in a terrible place right now. Just over the last week of having that little extra time, to ponder things, I've got to say the business is not one of the most rewarding in enjoyment, not enjoyment, but making you feel happy about things, because it's just negative all the time. What we hear on the mainstream about various main topics of interest, let's say, it's not good. And then when you have a bout of bad luck at this time of the year with households, relationships, cars, it just all piles up on top of you, and you just feel like, with some of the attitude of people in this world, why do we even make the effort to bother? I'm sure that you sometimes have that feeling as well. I know it. I think it's a natural human being, natural human way to think sometimes. But I always say this, and if you find yourself, having a spout of bad luck, just remember this. Like I try to remind myself, it can't always be bad. It has to be good. It is a two-sided coin, and things can improve and get better. It's just the nature of life sometimes, isn't it? Anyhow, guys, hopefully I can be back with you tomorrow, all being well, and hopefully you get to see this video and the ban on the channel for the last week is lifted. And I hope that you spend a bit of time to think about what we've talked about in this video with regards to helping fund a little bit at this difficult time for us at the observatory. And there'll be a link down there in the description as usual if you want to chip in a few bucks. It's up to you, guys. Have an amazing week. Try not to let the things in the media get you down. It is Christmas time to be with our families, and try a time where we've got to try and just put the brave face on, haven't we, and make the most of what we've got. I love you all. Take care. Hopefully we'll be back soon, and link down there in the description if you want to help support what we do. As always, bye for now.